bad view that, is it? So where am I? Well, I'm somewhere familiar to most Teessiders. I am at Stewart Park. Not Stewart's Park, there's no S. Stewart Park. And today I'm going to have a little walk around because I'm trying to get me 10,000 steps in. And I'll tell you a little bit about the history. I'm going to get the drone up, and probably like I normally do, when the drone's up, I'll narrate over the top, telling you about the rich history of this site. I'm stood here just near the car park. There's the beast. Come in just over there. So I'm about to head towards the lake. I'll get some pictures and some video, possibly, and then I'll get the drone up. Won't be a long video, but hopefully you'll find it interesting. Off we go. I love it when the sun's low like that. Looks great. Not sure how well it picks up on camera, but there's lots of lumps and bumps on the grass over here. There's a reason for that, which I'll talk about a little bit later on. But for now, just enjoy them lovely views. So this is one of two lakes in Stewart Park. Interestingly, there was a fire here in 1960. I'll talk a little bit about it later on. But both lakes, this lake and the other lake up the top, were both drained dry as the fire crews tried to unsuccessfully extinguish the fire. I only know this because I've just been talking to some guy whose dad was one of the fire crews in 1960. And he said this lake and the other one were bone dry because they used all the water to try and put the fire out. Thought that was a pretty cool little fact. So this little part of Stewart Park is where Marton Hall once stood. And this is the only remaining part. This colonnade here is the only remaining part of Marton Hall, which was demolished following that fire in 1960. Just in front of it, over there, you can see a marble vase. Now that was erected on the site where James Cook was born. So we're going to go over there and have a little look. Just before we head over to see where James Cook was born, I wanted to show you inside the colonnade. Look at this. The Romans would have been proud of that mosaic. Right, so this is the site where Captain James Cook was believed to have been born. And this granite vase was erected by H.W.F. Bolckow, who also built Marton Hall, in 1858. The site of the cottage where Captain James Cook was born. How cool is that? Now, if I'm technical enough, I'm going to put a picture, a contemporary picture, an artist picture of what the cottage actually looked like, because this area has obviously changed dramatically since then. Little cool fact, in 2003 or 4, Channel 4's Time Team did a big dig here, and they believe that they excavated part of the wall of James Cook's cottage. That was pretty cool. I've never been able to find that programme online. I remember watching it at the time, so if anyone knows where you can find a copy of that, the Big Dig it was called, I'd be really interested to find it and have a look at it. So yeah, that pretty much concludes my tour of Stewart Park. You'll watch some drone footage now and you'll hear my boring voice over the top of it again. So we'll just finish by looking at this great tree. Look at that. Thanks for watching. So I just had to bring you back for one last time. So I've just walked down from the Birthplace Museum up there where I was talking about James Cook, and I was just reading this sign up here, and it was saying that where I'm stood right now was the very centre of the village of East Marton. So whilst it looks massively different today, this would have been the centre of what was fundamentally an agricultural community, with lots of houses, people going about their everyday business. I think I prefer it now. And I thought I'd mention that. Let's get back to the car. Right, time for the drone. At the minute, you're looking over Stewart Park. I've already told you a little bit about the history of the park on the videos that I was walking around, but whilst the drone's up, I just thought I would bore you a little bit more. Now, Marton originally was split into two villages. There was East Marton and West Marton. Now, West Marton still exists. It's where the church is now, and buildings such as the Rudds, the pub, still exist there today. But East Marton was where Stewart Park is now. East Marton's also the former home of Captain Cook. He was born there. I think you've probably just seen a little the stone vase and a picture, an artist's impression of his hut. And as we're looking at the grass now at the minute, you can see there's lots of lumps and bumps, and that's because there's ruins of buildings under there. Some from the village, but some from the earlier lodges, halls that were built there as well. There was originally a lodge built there which belonged to the Rudd family, hence the name the Rudds, the pub, a big landowner at the time. And then a bit later on, Marton Hall was built, and that was built by a famous local person at the time, I guess, the Bolckows, I never know how to pronounce it, the Bolckows maybe, a big iron magnate at the time, and he built a fantastic hall there, and it was for a little while a museum as well, but then in 1960 it was destroyed by fire, but no one had lived there for quite a while, but for a good 100 years or so, from around about 1859 to about 1960, it was a fantastic hall there, of which only that little colonnade remains. So I think that's about it for the history of it. If you're not interested in history, get yourself a little walk about. It's a beautiful park that my dogs love going there. It's quite an interesting place. If you ever get a chance to watch the Big Dig, a Time Team special, it talks a little bit about James Cook's home, which I believe, when it was dismantled and took down prior to the hall being built in around about the 1850s, 1860s, it was dismantled, shipped to Australia and rebuilt over there. Now, I'm sure someone will be able to come along and verify that story or tell me that I'm talking nonsense. Anyway, lovely view of the Cleveland Hills in the distance there. Enjoy the rest of the show. And we're looking down now where James Cook's house was. And I'll stop talking now.